If you notice that your claims are taking longer to resolve, and when they do resolve, there's a lot of mistakes. Well, I'm going to talk to you about why, and I'm going to go over an article about why thousands of VA employees are leaving because of the backlog. So forgive me if I'm slow and hard to understand. I'm actually still sick. I'm operating off memory and I'm a little slow right now, but we're going to put the link to this article, NBC News article, in the description for you to read on your own and come to your own conclusions on what you should do about the current climate. So I'm going to start by explaining the backlog, the VA claims inventory rather, and you can Google this. You can Google VA claims inventory and it will show you the sum total of all the claims in the inventory. Not just disability, I think it's also things like, hey, I have dependents that I'm putting onto my status. But what you'll notice is that the number is at 1.1 million, basically 1.1 if you round up. When I checked this thing last time, it was at 600,000. This was July 2021, and it's historically been higher than it's ever been. And all you got to get from this chart and what I'm telling you is the VA has tried lots of things in the last decade to push the numbers down. And even with the Modernization Act and all the changes, with the PACT Act, it's just swamped everything. Right? The claims pipeline is doubled for them. So we're well past the highest point in history for claims. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's actually good because it means veterans are filing what they believe they deserve. The stigmas are gone. More people are saying, hey, I deserve this. Okay, good thing, because if they have a disability, then the VA should pay them whatever they deserve. But it's the VA's problem to solve. That's what I'm saying. They have a problem. It's their problem to solve. And I'm just here to talk about how it's going, in my opinions, based on what I read in this article. So let's dive into it. Go over some excerpts here. Now, there is a portion in this article where they interview some of the employees that quit. And some of the comments were, we have a quality control system that's pretty rigid based off points, and they're pushing for volume. So that's the first thing I read that rose a red flag. And I was like, man, I've been talking about this stuff for years, just not on camera, but how flawed the system could be based on their manpower and how they process the claims. I don't work for the VA, so I don't know the inner workings, but I can see a situation and say, okay, well, this is probably going to be a bad thing. And what I see right now is they want higher volume and they want better quality. And there's a political push to get the claims logs like lower. That's always how it is. Well, what do you think is going to happen, right? Are these people going to work overtime to do the best job they can? Or are they going to try to make the claims log go down as fast as possible so they can get a political win on the news? Well, it's a tough situation for the VA employee, because if they stay, well, they're bound by this rigid system that could follow them if they perform poorly. Like if you get fired or you get a negative performance review, like a couple of them, and you get moved on to a different department, and now you have this thing on your record. But if you stay and you want to do good, then you got to put in extra hours. They're not going to pay you more. What are you to do, right? If you're a human being and you're in that position, you're probably going to end up doing the job that you can do based on what they're paying you and the time on hand. So, just use the logic there and figure out how that's going to impact you. It's going to take longer for your claims, or faster, unfortunately, because I don't know what the quotas are, but let's say you get good points for claim resolutions. What if that includes denials, right? Like that. That's kind of I'm sure there are systems in place that prevent that type of behavior, but if you can get away with it, human beings will. Just something to keep in mind, right? I'm not the doomer. I'm just like explaining my point of view, because one of the red pills in disability is VA disability, is the VA cannot give you the service you believe you deserve, and will not. They'll give you the service that they can afford, and that seems mostly fair for everybody. So that's this whole thing at play, and now the VA employees are feeling it too on their end. So you have unhappy employees that are being pushed hard, and there's not a lot of incentive for them to stay, let's say. And there's another part of the article, moving on, that talks about the statistics with VA employees that are leaving year by year, and by percentage, it's going up. Like it went up by 40% I think in 2022, 600 people left. But they don't really explain like who these people are, where they're from, because I don't know how many total VA disability processors there are working at the VA. That would be a good number to know. Another number that would be good to know is all these people that are leaving, are they folks that were new hires and they didn't meet the quality standards and they got moved out? Or are these the guys that have been there for five years or longer that are actually equipped to take on all types of claims? Because if it's the experienced people, then I'm a little worried about that. Right? It takes a couple of years to get really good at this, is my assumption, especially with all the regulations. Right? Like after 6 months, sure, maybe someone can process a tinnitus claim because that's probably the simplest one that comes to my mind. But what about some of you who have like a bunch of different things and you submitted 1,000 pages of paperwork and they have to look through all that, and maybe there's 5 pages in there that will help your claim. Now you're expecting someone new to really dive deep and find the stuff that's going to be important. That's a big ask, right? Like, we're human, humans are human, and it doesn't matter how good your training programs are. By percentage, your errors are going to go up if you have a bunch of new people. They're not robots. And the VA actually tracks the error rate. You can find that on their website. It's about 10%. My assumption is going to get a little higher over the next couple of years because these people are leaving, right? So it seems like they're hiring more people than they're losing, and that's a good thing. But in the short term, it's going to take some time for them to catch up and really train their workforce to a level that of competence that's going to move the needle and make the numbers go lower at a faster rate. All I'm saying. But let's talk about how this actually impacts you and what you can do about it. How does it impact you? It's pretty obvious. We've been talking about it all video. Claims are going to take longer, in my opinion, or they're going to be fast if they're looking for the quick denial. But unfortunately, it's my opinion that a lot of claims that are winnable, there are going to be more mistakes. There's going to be more anger for the veteran's sake because they're like, hey, how come there's this simple mistake on my claim, or how did you miss this? If you have new people, that's probably going to happen more often. So sucks to suck. Let's just sit tight and wait how that plays out. But don't be surprised if that happens to you, unfortunately. So what can you do about this? Well, you're not going to like my first answer, and this is my opinion. It's not legal advice. First thing you do is just go again. If you get denied on some BS thing, well, you could just turn right around and just appeal it, right? Now, I will say, get some education. You don't want to you don't want to submit a claim just without adding new evidence or making your argument stronger. You're actually adding to the backlog problem if you do that, because, like I said, the VA is not going to give you better treatment the second time around or the fifth time around, however many times. They're going to give you what they can give you, and it's the same as they gave you last time. So you really got to take it in your own hands to make that claim stronger by positioning all your stuff more clearly. Like, instead of like shoving all your paperwork into your claim, just pick out the 5 things that matter and submit that so they see it right away, as an example. So you really got to, now more than ever, make your claim as strong as possible and as clear as possible, so you don't have to run the merry-go-round of claims, going back and forth, submitting and losing, submitting and losing. You don't want to do that. Get it right the first time, and if you're unfortunate enough to lose because of a simple mistake, just recognize what the mistake was, turn right around, and in your statement, maybe you can just say, hey, last time this was the mistake, and I had actually submitted everything, but here we go again, right? Whether that's the HLR, whether that's a supplemental appeal, whatever, just keep fighting for the benefits that you deserve. So again, that article is in the link or in the description, so you can hit the link and read for yourself. But if you got anything out of this video other than entertainment, please like and please subscribe and take action on your claim. Make sure that you submit a better one, because that's what's actually going to help, is if the community gets educated, submit better claims, that will help the backlog situation. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Take care now.